At this time, I'd like to yield the floor to my good friend from South Carolina.
Thank you, Senator Paul. I just came down to the floor to thank you for bringing up a number of issues of concern and being willing to stand down here and tell America what those concerns are. I also respect your demanding the opportunity for debate and for amendments of such an important bill. It's extraordinary, particularly after the Majority Leader had promised in February that the Patriot Act renewal would get a week of debate with the chance to offer amendments. And after a couple of weeks of doing absolutely nothing here on the Senate floor, that Senator Paul and others were denied the opportunity to offer amendments that would have brought up legitimate debates about the Patriot Act. There are a number of things a lot of us would have liked to have learned more about, heard some of the arguments that we have heard from Senator Paul here today, but unfortunately that's been limited to a relatively small amount of time, and that it's frankly stunning to me that the majority is actually willing to let the Patriot Act expire rather than give Senator Paul a few amendments. That's an extraordinary situation for a Senate that considers itself the world's greatest deliberative body, when one of the most important pieces of legislation that we could consider is jammed up against a break with no opportunity for amendment. So, Senator Paul, I don't want to interrupt your flow here because I think a lot of the things that you're talking about are important that we consider, but unfortunately they won't be considered. It doesn't sound like your debates will be allowed and for the amendments to be considered. And it sounds like what they're going to try to do is blame you for us voting late or early, but I want to commend you for standing for just good judgment and common sense that something of this importance, whether we agree or disagree with all the amendments, is not the point. It's too important to be handled this way. So, Senator, I'll allow you to continue and yield back, but thank you for what you're doing.
Yield for a question?
Yes, I will.
You know, not only are we not debating the Patriot Act, do you think that we've given sufficient floor time to amendments and proposals as to how to deal with the debt problem?
Well, I think you know the answer to that. Actually, some of us had reserved some time between 2:30 and 3:30 for some give and take and some debate here on the floor about the budget amendments that are going to be, or the budget votes that will be this afternoon. But that time was canceled by the majority. We have an impending debt that everyone in the world, except for those inside this body here, seem to understand. I mean, we're in trouble as a country. The majority has not produced a budget in over 700 days, I think it is. And at the same time, we're trying to negotiate how we'll move forward on this huge important point of raising the debt ceiling, which none of us want to do. We're avoiding the subject of balancing the budget. The majority leader has said these kinds of issues are off the table. And so it is very frustrating that whether it's the debt ceiling, whether it's the Patriot Act and our Homeland Security, that we're spending weeks doing nothing, bringing up, in some cases, controversial judges that should not have been nominated in the first place. Others just spending day after day of floor time and not bringing up important issues. But we're all concerned here. I know America's concerned. And again, Senator, thank you very much just for the willingness to bring out the point that we have something here that's very important to our security, to the privacy of every American, that needs to be vetted and debated, and amendments need to be offered. Yet this has been denied after a promise. So I'll certainly encourage you to continue, and thank you for your courage.
You know, one other question is we won't all agree necessarily on the Patriot Act, but the thing is that even for those who feel that it's important that it not expire, why would they not consent to some debate? And I've asked for 3 amendments, 3 votes. That's all. We could do them in the next hour. We could debate, and we could have this done, and there'd be no expiration of the Patriot Act for those who think it expiring is a problem.
Senator, as you know, you had, I think, 11 amendments that you would have liked to have had considered. You were willing to compress the time so that we could do that expeditiously. They wouldn't agree to that. You were willing to compromise for 3 amendments. And it doesn't sound like they want you to offer those amendments because, frankly, they don't want to take a vote on some of them that may expose what they really believe. So I know it's a frustrating situation for you. And they, as our majority friends over here like to do, cause the problem and then try to blame it on us. But as you said, within a few hours, this could be decided and over. We could pass the Patriot Act, or folks could vote for or against the way they want. We could send it to the House and it could be done. But it does appear the majority is willing to let this important legislation lapse just to keep you from offering a few amendments. That's an extraordinary situation. So again, thank you for yielding, and I appreciate your getting this debate out on the floor.
Thank you. I don't quite grasp it why we are so fearful of debate and fearful of votes that they're willing to let the Patriot Act expire in order just to prevent debate and prevent votes. The sticking point turns out to be an amendment basically on preventing gun records from being sifted through under the Patriot Act. Now, people say, well, what if someone, a terrorist, is selling guns illegally? Couldn't we get them? Yeah, you could get them the way we get everybody else. Ask the judge for a warrant. Judges routinely do not turn down warrants. It has worked for us for 225 years until the Patriot Act that we had a process. The Fourth Amendment protected us from an overzealous government, but it also worked to catch criminals.